Does Minari bring shame to our ancestors, or does it bring honor to us all?
I say it brings honor.
Okay. And this week's movie of the week is Minari by Lee Isaac Chung. And this movie debuted at the 2020 Sundance Film Festival. It won 2 audience awards. It's been nominated for a Golden Globe. It is let's see. It is starring Stephen Yeun, Han Yuri, Alan Kim, Noel Kate Cho, and they had to throw in a white guy there, Will Patton, who actually was pretty good in his role. As I mentioned, it's both written and directed by Lee Isaac Chung. And the movie is about a married Korean couple who moved to Alabama with their 2 children to start a farm and search for a better life. So let's head on over to Leonard. And what are your general thoughts of the movie Minari and its writing?
It was great. It was really well written. It was a really wonderful movie about family and like what it means to be in a family and like sacrifice and marriage and all that stuff. Like all the major story twists were like perfect in promoting that theme. And I forget, are we talking about spoilers and shit? I forget. I
Okay,
always
let's
forget.
let's just say it's spoiler warning. Total spoiler warning.
Yeah.
If you don't turn away now, it's your fault. So go ahead, Leonard.
Okay. So yeah, like so you know like so you have Stephen Yeun who's like trying to build this farm, and it's hard, of course, and it's like breaking his family apart. It's like causing like them to get a divorce. But then at the end, when the whole thing goes like when the barn goes up in flames, like his wife who wants to leave him because he's obsessed with his farm goes in to help him pull all the produce out because they even though she was going to leave him anyway. So it's like it's just in time it's just like it's really well written. It's like in times of crisis, that's when you really see what things mean to a person and what their priorities are and whether they're going to help you. And then it was beautiful how it all kind of to tie together. um and it was yeah. And the thing that I don't really understand, I mean, I understand the rules regarding like how the nominations work at the Golden Globes, but this is like a Korean American filmmaker and is dealing with a lot of American themes.
Mm.
And the fact is, because 70% of the movie was spoken in Korean, it had to be nominated as a foreign film, which is like, are you fucking kidding me? That's like if The Godfather 2 was a foreign film, you know? But they're just speaking Italian. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, this movie it's interesting because I found it, if I could describe it in one word, I would say like meditative. Like
Yeah.
it's a perfect type of movie because I've been watching a lot of TV and movies, and I started to think like, what do I like better in a movie versus a TV show? And for me, I find with movies, because it has your full attention, because in usual times, when you're in a theater, it just really grips you. All the small details matter. So you could have like this more meditative kind of movie you kind of invest yourself in, and all the small little details work. Whereas like with TV, I'm usually like multitasking while it's on. So what I liked about this is it did have that feel. I am a very character driven person, more so than a plot driven person. So for me, I really like when the character arcs have narrative integrity and it makes sense, the character choices, and they feel believable. And that's completely what this movie had. I really, like, to me, I really, really gravitated toward the mom. Um, and
Mm.
this,
Wait, the mom, not the grandmother, the
yeah,
mom.
no, not the grandma, the mom. Although I like the grandmother as well, but like the relationship between husband and wife, even though I more gravitated toward her and her struggle in trying to support her husband, like the husband was written in a way where I was like, I can totally see that. Like I might not agree with it, but I can see that as a real person who makes real choices and, is really trying his best for the family. Um, I think the relationship between the grandma and the son was also kind of cute. I will say, like, I've never met a grandma that is that forgiving if somebody makes her drink pee. Like, that is not any Asian grandma I've ever met. Like, that would be the end for that
Yeah.
little boy.
Well, I mean, she burned that motherfucker to the ground, so
Uh,
she got her revenge.
the only character I will say that I feel like um, probably had no basis in the movie and probably didn't make it any better was the daughter. I didn't really see her point. I think this was semi autobiographical, so maybe she was just included because she's a real life person. But I didn't
Yeah.
really understand. Like, you could literally remove her and nothing else changed. And I don't tend to like movies with characters that aren't involved at all. And then, then they have various white characters who, are just sort of window dressing and presented as kind of loopy and a little crazy. So I'm totally okay with that. And I thought Will
Yeah.
Pat.
Well, it's Arkansas. I feel like that was probably quite accurate.
Oh, good old Arkansas. The one thing I will say, Leonard, it's interesting with what you thought about the fire and how it ended. I actually felt like a lot of Asian movies. I feel like they put in a twist needlessly. At the end, it just felt kind of forced and fake to me. The fire and then the happy ending resolution. To me, that's what made it a Korean American film as opposed to a Korean film. I feel like her conversation with him after the grocery store decided to carry their
When he
produce.
takes the sale.
Yeah, for me, that was
Yeah.
the end of their arc. I was like, I've seen this arc. Like, this is where they've come to. It's really sad, but this is where like their choices have led them. And I didn't need like a miracle a fire burning bush to bring them all together. I was like, no, wait a minute, you just undid everything. I was with you, and this honest. I just didn't. I don't know. I always feel like Asian movies, not Asian American, but just Asian movies, usually will finish and then add on like an extra scene or two that just undoes everything, and that's how I felt
So,
here.
like, your version of the movie, they decide to get divorced,
Yes,
and then the movie ends.
for me,
And then she takes the kids and goes back to California. So Stephen Yeun is stuck in Arkansas. I don't know where the grandmother goes. I assume the grandmother goes with them to California because they need hospital shit, and he's just there toiling on this land by himself, and then dies. And then because then I mean
I
because they go back and now the farm's burned down, right? So now if she still decides to leave after the farm burns down, uh,
I
I mean, but then the whole point is the Minari at the
oh
end.
listen.
Right? Wasn't that nice? When it's like it's now blowing up the land, like the water was there, it was the whole thing. I
Listen,
don't know.
I feel like they could have gotten to a happy resolution in another way. This just didn't feel earned. Like, this is not where their character choices took them. Their character choices didn't take them to like a burning barn that then literally solved everybody's problems and now they're one big happy family. I was like, this to me it just cheapened the movie. I was just like, oh, I was like
Well,
they
I don't think it like solved. I mean, it didn't. I mean, shit's gonna be hard for them. They got to rebuild that goddamn barn. They don't have any money. But it's like it showed. I think it showed Stephen Yeun. I can't remember the name of his character, but it showed him and even proved, I think, to the wife that she did care. Like she hadn't given up, even though she said she had because it was just so hard, and she wanted to leave, and especially like when she heard that because she wanted to leave, she was trying to use her son's heart condition as an excuse to leave to go back to California, and when she found out it was like healing on its own, she's like motherfucker, basically, right? Like, she was mad about that. She was like, yes, great, I'm happy that my son's not going to die, but now I don't have a reason to leave. She just wanted to leave.
yeah, I'm
But
on
maybe she still leaves. I mean, there's no
uh,
like it doesn't show for sure they're staying. They all slept together on the floor.
uh,
Maybe the grandmother murdered them all when she was like watching them.
honestly, even with the burning, it just was too out of left field. It's just too convenient, and like I don't like plot driven movies. I like like character driven, and it was
Yeah.
just such a weird plot. Even if they threw me a bone of like if they foreshadowed it by like the grandma's stroke leading her to do something else stupid like earlier on, like just to show her like I don't know. You just have to foreshadow it. Like maybe she forgets something in the laundry. I don't know. Just show me that she did something like she's deteriorating. Don't go from oh bitch had a stroke and then now she burned down the whole house. Like I don't really know. It was just to me it just felt out of left field and my version of the movie will end with that conversation. I felt like that conversation after the grocery store was so well
Yeah.
written. It was so the culmination of the whole film. And it was just so heartbreaking. But I felt that's a real life conversation. That
Yeah.
is something I can see her saying. And it's
Yeah.
heartbreaking, but it's real. And
Yeah.
then
See,
and then they did what they did. But you know what?
so basically, you're mad because they earned the heartbreak, but they didn't earn the reconciliation.
Yes, yes. Even if they did another scene with the Minari, like somehow, even if the Minari was the thing that saved them, because at least they showed the Minari earlier, like they went to
Yeah.
the thing, they didn't really earn it, they didn't really like grow that part of it, but like I could see threads there that they were laying that could get me there after that heartbreaking conversation, you know, something could happen that brought me back, but not a random fire. I don't know. I was not feeling that fire, but it's still a masterpiece. And just to wrap it up, we now have a new we now have a new movie scoring system, and so I will ask Leonard: does Minari bring shame to our ancestors, or does it bring honor to us all?
I say it brings honor.
Okay, I will also say that this movie brings honor. Just a small caveat, but honestly, if you get to that conversation and turn it off, then you'll just love it even more. And that is the. I will probably go into my files and delete that last part and rewatch it and like put the credits right after just so I can live my version of the film because that version of the film deserves an Oscar, deserves a Golden Globe.
Right. So basically, I want to see like all of Vong's edits for movies. It's like Toy Story 3. They're like going down the avalanche towards the flames, and they're like holding their hands. They're all ready to die. Fade to black. That's it. That's the end of Toy Story 3.
Uh, I don't know. I don't want to be so negative. It actually is a brilliant movie, and I'm only just so heartbroken because I loved it so much, and it was a perfect movie to me until it added that. But at least it added it right at the end, so it's easy to edit it out. So thank you, Lee Isaac Chung, for that.
Yeah. Just gonna edit out the most expensive shot in the film, but yeah.